All right, I'm going to give my first impression of Diablo 4's new in-game content called the Abattoir of Zur. Now, here's the very first thing I experienced in the Abattoir. We're kind of running behind on the time already. Holy shit, what the hell happened? So I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to need more armor. So I went out and put Disobedience on my necklace, put total armor on literally everything, got more damage reduction, and thought, we got it this time. He's the hard one. Okay. God damn it! So then I said to myself, okay, DM, that is a skill-based issue. Stop running into the giant red glowing army things. Let's run it back. Yo, and King with the 10 gifted. Thank you. I see that. Hold on. No! No! God! Fuck! So then I told myself, the chat distracted me with the gifted subs. Copium, that is not my fault. Let's run it back. Okay, or not, because they did last time. I got teleported on in one shot. Didn't I have Fortify on too? So then I told myself that being teleported on instantly is cheesy as possible on minions, and it's not my fault. Let me just get more defenses and more armor somehow, and let's run it back again. So I actually ended up unlocking the glyph, and I thought, okay, well, let's level the glyph and do more of these. I fail them on the occasion, but I can defeat tier 1s. I can probably beat the tier 2, and I haven't pushed much farther than that. Because, guess what? It's 800 powder, and I'm losing these sigils, basically meaning that I can't do it anyway because I have no powder. I don't know about you guys. I'm not good enough to beat this thing without dying on the occasion, and dying on the occasion is enough to make it where I run out of powder. So my first impression is I'm not playing it because I don't have the powder, and I don't want to get the powder because getting powder is probably the most boring thing to do in the game already. I just don't think I'm going to do it. I'm going to be honest. I basically played for about 2 hours. And after 2 hours, I got to a point where I was farming tier 48 through 50s in order to get them to drop. Because if you do tier 100s, you get like one other tier 100, which is about 130 sigil powder. But if you do these 50s, then you're going to be getting like multiple, like 3 or 4 of these per one. So what I ended up doing was farming this powder, right? So that I can make a Bloodforged sigil, and here you go. So I went and farmed these so that I can craft this here for the video. We crafted it. Now that's 800. Now I have to beat this. If I do not beat this tier or fail the new aspirational content, then what that forces me to do is to go back into a loop doing the ones I have already done, which why would I want to do another nightmare dungeon in order to attempt this again? Now I understand a lot of people will be sitting on 50,000 dust or something, and you will be telling yourself, damn, you should have just been grinding nightmare dungeons for like 3 months in preparation. Sure, that would be a technically correct answer in terms of how to have the powder for now. The problem is I don't think people want to do that. I think people aren't farming nightmare dungeons. I think a lot of people are sitting at level 15 glyphs, waiting for the new in-game content. They're going to log in, have a little bit of powder. They're going to use all of their powder, fail this tier 1 once or twice, have enough powder to beat tier 1, go to tier 2, fail it a couple more times, beat on the third one, go to tier 3, and then be out of powder. And then at that point, they're going to think, wait, I have to go back and do the normal nightmare dungeons. I don't want to do that. I'm going to play something else. So my point is, I'm now in a tier 1. I am put into a situation where if I do not beat this, I have no powder. I only have 2 sigils, one tier 50 and one tier 100. And I also do not know what the modifiers or anything are going to be for this tier 1 Abattoir Zur before I get into it. So I am put in a somewhat desperate situation of, okay, I absolutely have to beat this. I am panicking. If I do not beat this, I can no longer continue the in-game content. So here I am now trying to beat it. All right, so now I died. I was waiting for my cooldown, so I was running away. I probably should have ran in a straight line, but I made a mistake, and now I died. So because I died, now I'll show you the situation I am put in. This is a great example. So here we are. Let me walk back over here and show you. So now if I would like to try again and learn the experience of figuring this out, I need to go farm 798 powder, and I have 2 sigils to start. This is, you could argue that, okay, DM, it's a skill issue. Sure. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm not even going to argue that part. Maybe I fucking suck, And maybe that's just the conclusion we come to. Okay, maybe tons of people were able to blast through this, no problem. But it's not really about me at this point. I would assume that I'm not the only one that has ran into this situation. A lot of people that I see come by the live stream, etc., they just get to the level 15 glyphs because they don't want to do the Nightmare Dungeons to 21. And then when the bug happened and they dropped to 14, people are like, I hate Nightmare Dungeons so much, I'm not even going to re-level the one run it takes me to go 14 to 15 just because I don't want to do it. I'll wait a couple of days just so my glyphs are leveled and I can try it. Which if that is the case and people are thinking that, then there sure as hell is no way that if people run out of powder, they're going to go farm 800 power to do a tier 1 and then hopefully beat that so they can make a tier 2, beat that so they can make a tier 3, and basically have flawless runs all the way up. It ain't going to happen. People are going to run out of powder and then people just ain't going to do it no more. So if you want my first impression, it's that it actually seems kind of fun. I actually don't mind it. I think it seems decent. The glyph reward seems okay. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me that the gear drops are literally worse than the gear it takes to be able to run the thing anyway. So, you know, it's dropping like 900 power gear, not even 925 or something. That part's still weird for me. I'll admit it. There's issues that we could talk about alongside of it. But for me, like the one core crux of this issue is people are going to run out of fucking powder. And when they do, they ain't going to go farm it. They're just going to stop playing. They're going to be like, hey, you know what? I'm bored. See you in Season 3. And this is only really a bummer because I actually rather like the Abattoir of Zur. Like, I like the glyph reward. The glyph reward's strong. The amount of glyph XP you get so you can level all these other glyphs if you want to is actually very high. The fact that when you're going through and fighting them with your character, the only thing you have to do is kill a certain amount of minions to spawn the Bloodseeker boss, and then maybe they one-shot you or maybe they don't type of situation. I don't mind the actual gameplay of it. I actually find it rather enjoyable, which is why the powder situation's a little bit of a bummer in my own personal opinion. And even though it might sound like I have a problem with how difficult it is because I'm getting one shot all the time, I actually don't. I like that it is difficult. We need difficult things in Diablo 4. We need an in-game. This is something that is aspirational content that I can inspire to actually defeat. Dying to it is not the problem for me. I'm perfectly willing to work on my build to get it stronger. If there's people out there like Rob who are beating this thing with Ubers and all, there's obviously room to grow for me. My issue really comes down to the fact that I am getting disincentivized to actually attempt it and to grind it out and to learn how to become better, because what they want me to do is the worst part of the game, which is acquiring powder in order to do it. I think this was the biggest mismatch in my own personal opinion. I think this would be much more well received if people could go into it, fail it, try again. I don't understand why we have to recraft with the powder. The only thing it seems like to me is the powder is only there so that people will run out of powder and will have to go do other Nightmare Dungeons, which again doesn't make sense when we just buffed glyph XP because we know people don't like doing it, and you get better glyph XP through the Abattoir of Zur. So if you have to go back to do the Nightmare Dungeons, they feel even worse when you're doing the OG Nightmare Dungeons because of how much better the Abattoir of Zur experience is literally anyway, which is another thing I actually like about Abattoir of Zur. The glyph experience you get is pretty dang high from Abattoir. So there is a lot of things I actually really like about the update. They're just getting overshadowed by the fact that trying to even do the update, eventually the update itself tells you, well, you can't do it. So in my opinion, probably need to have 925 gear be the reward for this thing, because you probably want 925 gear in order to actually do it. And it's not like it's actually dropping gear while you're killing the minions. It only drops the gear at the end of the dungeon itself. So giving people 925 as a reward for doing the Abattoir of Zur when it's fairly difficult anyway seems to me to be obvious. I don't understand why it's dropping essentially bad gear, but that's just one side point. The Sigils, you should have like a 3 strikes you're out mechanic or something. Like, you tried, okay, you're going to have to redo it. Now, you don't get a new modifier or anything. It's going to redo the same dungeon, so you can't just fail on purpose in order to get a better modifier or something. No, you got to try it again. They should have a couple attempts, at least, so that way you're not constantly running out of powder, because I'm already seeing people say that they're running out of powder fairly consistently, and that has been my experience. Right now, I have an hour of powder farming ahead of me to try one more time, and I'm just not going to do that. And before people say you're just asking for it to be easier, you have a hoe the barb, the one-shots everything, but yet you want more in-game content like pick a lane DM, that is completely not what I'm saying. But maybe you didn't make it to this part of the video to actually hear me. What I am saying is that I'm perfectly okay with the difficulty of it. It's acquiring the powder in order to run the attempts specifically that is my issue with this update. If we get that resolved, it is significantly better. I don't need it to be easier. I don't want it to be easier. I'm okay with difficult stuff that maybe no one will clear, maybe a few people will clear. That is good and healthy to have in the game. But the average person, when they do attempt it one time and they run out of powder, they ain't going to grind powder again. They're just going to quit.